ताज़ा गोश्त, ताज़ी सब्जियां ते फ्रूट, आटा चावल दालां मसाले ते जूस सारे बिल जमा करने, गैस ते इलेक्ट्रिक ने टॉप अप भी करने। पाकिस्तान पैसे बिल्कुल फ्री भेजने, मतलब के एक चिड़ी ने दूध छड़ी ते हर शै लबनी।
जने ने आप उतरा।
Amal Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Telephone 01733 687374.
Did you know Shin Ibadi was the first Muslim to win the Nobel Prize in 2003 for her continuous work on the struggle for the rights of women and children?
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the show, The Real Me. I'm Abbas, and today, alhamdulillah, I've been joined by Sister Safura. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining me today. It's really nice to have you back on the show, and inshallah we'll be speaking like a part 2 from the first show.
Inshallah.
So inshallah, today's topic is the fear within, handling your inner self. So we're going to be touching upon some topics within mental health. So I cracked that open in the beginning. I know some people don't like the word mental health and feel slightly shy of talking about it, but we are going to be talking about a few points, inshallah. Just for those listening out there, I know that a few people are tuned in because last week when we had the organization Zest come in with 3 guests who are part of the organization, alhamdulillah, we had about at least 3 to 4 callers calling in. So inshallah, it'd be really nice if anyone who's listening right now can give your input. I want to hear from yourselves. You don't have to give your names, you can come as anonymous, but I want to hear from yourselves, especially those who are living in Peterborough area, so that we can actually work on something and we get some feedback. Is this topic something that you're interested in? Is it something that you're suffering yourself? Don't worry about anonymity. It's all confidential, and hopefully no one will recognize your voice. But if you come in with your opinions, that'd be really nice. It'll be supportive to myself and Sister Safura. But I think it'll be nice because like I said, last week we had Zest come in, and it was really nice to see people. A lot of people were interested in, and a lot of people had questions. I'm sure that people do suffer from mental health conditions. And surely there's a way out there, and we can obviously signpost to a lot of things. So please make sure that you call in and make use of this opportunity, especially with Sister Safura being here. She can signpost and she can talk further about this. So if you do want to text or WhatsApp in, the number is 07745 278 978, or if you want to call in live, 01733 602 133. For those who are tuned in live, you can see the numbers on the screen on YouTube Live or even Facebook Live as well. So we are going to crack on. So Safura, when you came in the last time you came for the first show, alhamdulillah, it was really good. But unfortunately, because of the issue with the sound, which was obviously due to unforeseen circumstances, the second half of the show was not clear at all.
Yeah.
But inshallah, today shouldn't be a problem. But we're going to start off because I know that, like introduced in the first show we had, you are the head of the organization, the Lantern Initiative, which is based in Peterborough. If you can start off with that, please.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, some of it might be a bit of a recap from the last show that we did, but you know, as you said, some of it was lost in transmission, so we'll just kind of start again.
Sure.
But yeah, so the Lantern Initiative, for listeners who aren't aware, we're based in Peterborough. We're a mental health organisation, and we organise events, workshops, seminars, that kind of thing, primarily for the Muslim community, but also the wider community are more than welcome to attend. And the main aims that we have are to educate and raise awareness of mental health issues, but also to reduce some of the stigma that exists. And we know that there is a lot of stigma that exists in the Muslim community. I mean, we get people coming forward all the time to say, you know, I can't come to one of your events because my family wouldn't understand, or I'm worried about who might see me there. We've had people who've said, I can't come to your events but I need help, so I'll call you and I'd like to speak to someone. And so we know there's a lot of stigma, there's still a lot of taboo around mental health in this community. And that's not unique to Peterborough. I think it's something that's you'll find in many parts of the UK. I think the Muslim community in general, I think we've still got a lot of catching up to do when it comes to mental health issues. And then the other thing that we're trying to do is to empower the community to seek help. So it could be whatever help people need in that time. So it could be self-help, it could be that someone needs intervention, it could be they need signposting to other organisations, bigger organisations. It might be that they need medical help. So whatever help they need, we try to empower them to seek help. So those are kind of our aims and objectives in a nutshell. We do get asked whether we have a helpline, and we don't actually have a helpline at all, but we do sort of support where we can. We get people wanting to talk to us after events and workshops, and we're more than happy to we welcome people to come sit down and talk through what issues they're having and what help they might need. But yeah, other than that, that's generally what we do. I think in Peterborough we've had events running now for nearly 2 years. We've done quite a lot of women-only events, but we're also kind of gearing up more towards doing mixed events as well. We've done lots of youth stuff, so we have a monthly drop-in session, which is Cloud Space, which Abbas, you've also been to, and it's quite well attended.
Yeah.
We initially aimed for Cloud Space to be for young people aged 13 to 18, but what's actually happened is we're attracting a lot of older students, so we're getting more kind of 16 to sort of 25-year-olds, and we've left it at that. I think it's quite a nice group that we've got, and what we hear increasingly from young people is that when they're at school, they've got a lot of support with their mental health, because schools are obviously more kind of in tune with all of that. But once they go to university or they move out and they kind of, in the workplace, etc., there's not a lot of support out there for young people. So if you're somebody who's suffered from depression or anxiety or, another mental health issue, and you've had support at school, suddenly you've left school and you find that there's nothing out there. So I think that's the sort of category we're attracting at Cloud Space. And we're kind of very much letting that group organically grow to whatever it needs to be. So whatever those young people need, we're there to support them. So Cloud Space has been quite an exciting new project for us in Peterborough. It's something that we've not done before. It's quite new. And we're also supported by Children of Adam, who are a reputable local organisation, very well known in Peterborough, who are sponsoring some of our projects. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what we've got going on at the moment. Also,
mashallah.
we've got other events in the pipeline, but perhaps we can talk more about those later.
Yeah, of course, inshallah. This show is called The Real Me, and I want to, without making it as a pun, mention some real pointers, which I felt myself is important to mention. I think that I've mentioned in the previous shows as well that people are, I think generally we're scared of this word mental health. We look at statistics and so forth and we think, oh my God, and so forth, but we're not looking at how to actually get better. And I can imagine that within the Muslim communities in Peterborough itself, I'm sure there's members of the communities who are suffering inside. Maybe they are aware of it, maybe they're not aware of it. But I think it's important to actually acknowledge it themselves, because you can't fool yourself. Yeah. And whatever there is, as obviously we are lucky to be in a monotheistic religion as Islam, being one of the Abrahamic religions, we do have that in Islam, that it's haram to lose hope in Allah, right? It's haram. So you must have hope in God. It's very, very difficult, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I know that a lot of people overuse that as well. There's light in the end of the tunnel, but there is opportunity for people to grow better, and it's important for them to actually make a change themselves by at least letting one person know. For some people, it might be easy for them to talk about it. For others, it might be just by telling one person, maybe at the biggest challenge they've ever got in their life.
Yeah.
But that's important to actually open up. And I think when it comes to shows like this on mental health, I really, really would like for people to call in. Not to expose themselves, but just to give their feedback. Let us know what's going on. Is this something that, for those people listening out there, is this something you want to talk about? Do you want there's more of this? We can address it. We can move forward with it. Because at the end of the day, it will only benefit others, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's important for them to come out with something that it could be anything. Because everyone, like someone said to me, he said to me, look at my fingers, Abbas. They're all different lengths, right? They're all different. Same with us as well. We are all different.
Yeah.
You can't judge someone, you can't look at someone who's smiling. A lot of people are smiling on the outside, but they've got a lot of sorrow inside, and you can't read it. And it's important. It's really, really important. I say to close family members that it's therapeutic to actually talk about it.
Yeah.
Some people may not want to talk about it, but I think it's therapeutic to actually talk about it. It relieves a burden off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's important for self-development as well. Because at the end of the day, if you're tense, you'll be able to see that. I put something on my WhatsApp just last week, and that's I put a WhatsApp status saying that every often go in the mirror and look at your posture. You'll see a lot of people at work or in mosque or in society, they're very tensed up, and you'll see from their shoulders.
Yeah.
The shoulders will be stiff, and you just touch the shoulders and say relax, and they will see that you'll see naturally their shoulders will then go down.
Yeah.
They're tense.
Yeah.
A lot of people are tense, and you can't blame them. A lot of people have financial problems, family problems, work problems, society problems, everything.
Yeah.
There's always something, right? And some people think I'm the only one. They're not. Many people, you'll be surprised. You've probably experienced yourself, and you talk about it and you think, oh my God, they're going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
and also it's important to remember that it's not just a sort of a chemical imbalance. It's to do with your environment, your circumstances. You might have been in financial difficulty. You might have had an illness in the family. There could be so many different reasons for why you might find yourself in that situation where you have a mental health problem, where you have developed anxiety or panic attacks or depression or post-traumatic stress disorder or whatever it may be. But there are so many different reasons. And as you said, so many people are suffering. I mean, statistically, we know that 1 in 4 people in the United Kingdom at any given time is suffering from a mental health issue. That's quite a lot of people. And it might not be yourself right now, but it could be somebody it could be a loved one, it could be a family member, it could be a friend. So I guess knowing how to support one another is also important.
I know it's a bit early in the show, sorry, but I just wanted to ask, I have a slight feeling that maybe there's someone listening today thinking, no, they don't understand me. They don't. They're talking about it on the show, but they don't understand me. I'm going through something way different. And like I said, it's very easy for me to say, have hope in Allah. Some people don't. The first show on The Real Me was called Family Losing a Close One, and Islam's effect on that. And I think some people just write me off and say, now you don't understand. But I think it's important for yourselves, for those listening out there, I'm sure they must be thinking that we do understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we do.
I think it's not always as well about understanding the other person. It's about people wanting to be there for you. So regardless of whether they understand or not what your situation is right now, there are people that are willing to listen and willing to be there for you, with whatever support you need. And I think that's what's quite crucial to remember. But what you were saying as well about not losing hope in Allah, and as Muslims, obviously we know what our duties are in terms of remaining hopeful and having that trust in Allah and looking after our well-being. I think you've got to look after yourself, but also at the same time you've got to acknowledge that you have a problem in the first place. And I think that's something that we come across quite a lot of in the community. When you've got people that say, well, I'm not actually depressed, or I've just got nazar, or I've just got the evil eye, or or you've got families that say, well, our daughter's just she's had jinn possession or something. It becomes quite difficult to deal with. And I mean, we know when we listen to some very well-known Muslim psychologists like Dr. Asim Yusuf, for instance, and he'll say, he says that, there's something like 95% of cases where families have felt that there was jinn possession at play have actually turned out to be a genuine mental health problem, and the patient or the person has just needed medication or some kind of treatment to get better. So I think that the problem we have is all the superstition in the community, all the sort of the worry around jinns and the evil eye and nazar, etc., etc. And of course we know as Muslims that it exists and we acknowledge it, but I think that the problem is far, far smaller than people actually make it out to be. And I think what doesn't help is when you come across sort of talks and things about jinns and about evil.
Exactly.
And it just exacerbates the problem. I think you're just perpetuating this cycle of fear.
Exactly. Some people, look, I shouldn't really be saying this in a bad light, but it's quite funny. I know that someone was telling me that they had some kind of indigestion problem or gas problem in their stomach, and they could feel pains in the chest, and that's it. They thought the jinns got hold of them. Right. So I think it's about your belief. It's about your belief, isn't it? But to be honest, let's be honest, it's hard to break that belief. You get old wives' tales as well, or even some parents or mothers, who's so caring about their children. I'm not sure if you probably gone through that yourself, but people say, mum sometimes worry, oh, you just done a shower, don't go out, you catch a cold, or don't drink juice, in the winter, or any fizzy drinks, you'll get a cold, and all these superstitions.
There's a lot of it,
it's a belief problem. And I think sometimes when it comes to, especially coming from the Indo-Pak culture, I think a lot of this jinn possession it exists, but I mean I don't think all the jinns really have that time to come and possess you. So I think they've got their life of their own as well, right? I don't think all of their aims are to come and possess us.
No, but also at the same time, I think we look at it as from an Islamic angle. Okay, we think to ourselves, yes, we know that these things exist because we've been taught about them by the Prophet ﷺ. We know they happened as well, but we have to remember that Allah's power and Allah's protection is far bigger than anything else.
Exactly.
So should you be fearing the jinns more, or should you be kind of having that faith in Allah more?
Exactly.
Which is bigger?
And
which is stronger?
Brilliant, excellent point. When I was a bit younger, then when we got together in a friend's house, and they came out with all these jinn stories, and it did affect my faith because I was young at that time, and I wasn't. And I went to my dad and I said, Dad, do you think it really exists, all this jinn possession? He goes to me, you know what? Your friends should be ashamed of themselves, because if they're doing it unintentionally or trying to scare you, they probably don't realize that those boys who are out there thinking, no, I need to be a bit cool, I need to be look masculine and so forth. They do affects their faith, and and some people's stories then scare them up to the point that, oh my God, Allah doesn't have. I mean, there's a reasoning why some things happen, but Allah is aware of everything. And those people who may be sinful, no doubt, but just because you're sinful or you think you've got a lot of sins doesn't mean that Allah is not going to help you. No. And my dad says to me, he says to me, you should be ashamed of yourself. He goes, don't you know that if you pray your namaz, you think Allah will let you suffer from anyone? You really think that you believe in jinns? Who created the jinns? It says in the Quran as well.
Absolutely.
Allah has made man and jinn. Allah allows some things to happen, but the thing is, we create the problems ourselves. There's obviously some places where people can call the jinns as well, but if you call them, they will come pester you. And then that'll be your fault. If you leave them, they'll leave you. If they come, then we have, alhamdulillah, we have this, our spiritual faith is that when you recite the 4 calls or the surahs, it's a matter of belief and faith. And
it's not just about jinns and stuff. It's about also the fact that we have certain protections that Allah has given us. We have things that we can do. Our faith teaches us in order to protect ourselves from illnesses, from mental health problems, from all sorts of ailments. So first and foremost, are we establishing our salah? Are we keeping in a state of cleanliness? Are we keeping in a state of wudu? All of these things are, we're taught in the hadith that they are a shield, a protection for the believer. So instead of leaving yourself exposed, I think it's important as well to remember that there are things you can do to protect yourself. But of course, when it comes down to if someone has got a genuine mental health problem, they need help. They possibly need intervention. They need somebody who's going to understand that they are going through a problem that might need medication or that might need therapy of some sort. And I think it doesn't help if people are just going to put it down to, what astonishes me actually is that people will actually far more comfortably admit that their daughter has been possessed by a jinn or she's got nazar on her than admit that she's actually got a mental health problem. Because I think there's a very real worry, and statistically actually I've read about this as well, that there are communities that believe if they admit that their children have a mental health problem, that their children will never get married, they'll never find someone to marry them, because it's a stigma that will stay with them for the rest of their lives. And I suppose sometimes that does happen. I guess in some communities it will happen, but again, it's whether you want to get better, whether you want to seek that help and access the right treatment for yourself, or whether you want to go down that route of kind of being labelled with something that you're not actually suffering from.
I think sometimes when it comes to these topics, people may think that they can't relate to these kind of topics. I said, no, I'm looking completely different perspective. So that's why I know in the past, one of the shows that I covered was on music. So some people say, bro, sometimes I don't feel like praying namaz, sometimes I don't reading salah. I'm going through a tough time right now. Sometimes this music helps me. That's between yourself and God. So that's up to you. I mean, I'm not telling you don't listen to it, but it's between yourself. If you want to hide it, maybe it's better you hide it, because sometimes people will not understand. People do listen to music, and they may listen to music whatever they want. They'll listen to any track they want, but as long as at the end of the day, if you know in your heart that you listen to music because it helps you mentally, then I'm not saying it's acceptable, but that's between you and God. I'm not going to come and judge you and to tell you what's wrong. You carry on with what you feel is best. We always trying to help you. So I think that understanding as well as that acknowledgement to say that, sometimes maybe if you can avoid some things that you are doing, maybe you feel is correct, maybe you yourself genuinely feel that's better for you, so then that'll be between you and God. Then you obviously know that when you die, then Allah will question you on it, and Allah will forgive you if He wants, So people who are genuinely listening to music or doing other things which may be on a controversial side of it, of Islam, that's between you and God. That's not something that we can say. But I think it's important for people to realize that myself personally, I try and make sure I look at things in a different angle. I may be someone said to me recently, they said to me, Abbas, I don't pray namaz though. I said, so what? Doesn't mean you can't talk to God. If you don't pray namaz, you don't want to pray namaz. It's up to you. You don't feel like praying namaz, or you just feel maybe you're a bit stubborn. We're all a bit different. Say, no, I just don't want to pray namaz right now. I don't want to. Fine. But it doesn't mean you can't speak to God. It doesn't mean that He's left you. You're leaving Him. God will not leave you. You may be a sinner as much as you want, but God will never leave you. Because you know that if you're doing a sin unintentionally because of circumstances, or you're not well or something, Allah will that's between you and God. So I said to that person, because I try alhamdulillah, with the teachings of my parents and the community, I try and pray namaz every day. Okay, and when I do pray namaz every day. Okay, I don't miss out. But alhamdulillah, that's the teachings of the community, my family, close family, and relatives and friends and so forth. So alhamdulillah, I'm blessed like that. But the person said to me, Abbas, I don't pray namaz myself. I said, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, whether you pray namaz or not, it'll be between yourself and God. I said, can you guarantee me that in 10 years time that I will be praying namaz and you won't be? So I said, it can flip. In 10 years time, if you are chosen, you'll be praying namaz regularly, I may not be. Because I can't guarantee myself that, I guarantee that I'll be like this and so forth. No, it really depends on circumstances, tests, trials, tribulations. Just because we're talking about it doesn't mean we don't suffer ourselves. Everyone is human. And
it's not for any of us to judge what a person is doing or isn't doing, or, and coming back to what you were saying about support, mental health support, I think there are lots of organisations out there that will speak to you or listen to you without any judgment, including Muslim organisations. So I know we're going to talk a little bit more about the sort of signposting towards the end of the show, but there are helplines that you can call, Muslim helplines, and speak to Muslim therapists, where they're not going to judge you for saying you don't pray, or that you've lost your faith in Allah, or that you're struggling with your deen. And actually, one of the things that we do see quite commonly is statistically, although the Muslim community have far lower rates of suicide, there are higher rates of self-harm.
Yeah.
Because of course there's this belief that, well, I can't take my life because I'll go straight to hell. It's forbidden for me to take my life. But then there's a lot of self-harm that goes on, and this is something that we need to try and understand. You know, that people are genuinely struggling to the point where they feel the need to self-harm. Yeah. And how we deal with that as a community. Yeah. And again, we do that completely without judgment, you know, and try to understand why, what factors might be going on in a person's life that's kind of led up to that point.
Exactly. Someone's actually got a question, which I want to give my take on it, inshallah, within the next 2 minutes, inshallah, if you can squeeze in as well. I want to bring in after the break as well. We've got an anonymous person who's texted in, if music brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gives you comfort, is that okay? So I would personally say that whoever the brother or sister is, that's between you and God. I personally, if I met you, I wouldn't say anything to you, because if it's bringing you close to God and it's bringing you comfort, that's up to you. I'm not promoting it and I'm not going against it. It's your journey. Take it easy on yourself. Relax. You're not doing anything. You're not harming anyone. You're just listening to music at this time for you to realize. And if you think you want to carry on till the day you die, that's between yourself and God. It's not for me to judge. And if you want to get a second opinion, but inshallah we'll cover this after the break, and we'll get your opinion as well. So we're just going to go for a 4-minute break, and then inshallah we'll come back and we will speak further. And also at 7:35 we're going to break for azan, which will be 4 minutes. But inshallah, please do carry on with your texts, and if you can call in, that'd be great. But if you don't want to call in, I love the fact that someone at least texted in with the questions, so please bring them further. It'll be excellent. So we're just going to go on a break, and inshallah see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
कोई रत्ती कमीज़ानी लमाना मारे मामा मिठिया में चीज़ानी। मेरा नाम मुकद्दस है और कोट मेरा घर है, और ये मेरे लिए किसी जन्नत से कम नहीं। हमारे भी कुछ ख्वाब हैं जिनकी ताबीर को हमें पाना है।
आइए इन बच्चों के ताबनाक मुस्तकबिल के लिए अपना हिस्सा डालिए। अपनी ज़कात, सदकात, खैरात और इमदाद कोट को दीजिए।
UK number 0300 123 774. Website court.org.uk.
Peterborough just got a whole lot tastier. Five Lads Flame Grilled Peri Peri Chicken is now open. Bring your family and friends to Peterborough's first HMC meat selling restaurant. We are experts in grilled chicken, lamb chops and gourmet lamb and beef burgers. Our healthy options include fresh salads and fresh grilled vegetables. Fresh, clean and healthy grilled food with 4 different flavours: lemon and herb, medium, hot and extra hot. 5-star hygiene rating. Eat in, order and collect, or order for delivery on Deliveroo. Follow 5 Lads Peterborough on Facebook and Instagram 5 Lads. 15 Cowgate, Peterborough, PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 56 22 87. Open 7 days a week, 12 to 11 p.m.
Al Murad Tiles. With over 70 stores nationwide, we are now open in Peterborough. Up to 50% discount offers now on. Largest selection of tiles. Full bathroom suites from only £189. Paint, LED lighting, laminate flooring from only £7.99. Over 1,000 designs of wallpaper in stock. We have everything you need. Come and visit us at 193 Fengate, Peterborough, PE1 5BH, or call us on 01733 34 58 47. Al Murad Tiles, now open.
Had a car accident or an accident at work? Accident specialists are experts in no-win, no-fee accident claims. Leave the hassle to us. Our multilingual settlement experts will manage the entire claims process on your behalf, with nothing to pay up front. We provide services such as credit hire, taxi vehicles, recovery, storage and much more. For full details on our range of services and a free consultation, call us on 01733 555 774 or visit our office at 249 Lincoln Road opposite the NatWest Bank. Accident Specialists. Start your successful claim today.
Insure 24/7 is a community-based insurance brokerage offering competitive premiums and a great service. Taxis, properties and businesses, we cover them all. Call us on 01733 856699 or visit our new office at 304 Lincoln Road. Insure 24/7. We've got you covered. Insure 24/7 is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأموالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. That Allah does not look towards your appearance and your wealth, but rather He looks towards your heart and your actions.
If you want to learn about Islam and Muslims, stay tuned to Salam Radio 106.2 FM.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the show, The Real Me. Just a recap of our topic today, and that is... Sorry for this awkward silence, I forgot on the top of my head. The topic is the fear within, handling your inner self, as well as that including the work of the Lantern Initiative with Sister Safura, the head of the organization. Inshallah, we'll be carrying on with the rest of the show with that. We're going to break in 5 minutes with Azan, and then that'll be a 4-minute break, and inshallah we'll come back. So just...
I've just got to correct you there.
Sure.
You keep saying head of the organisation, but I'm just one of the co-founders. I just do community events. So yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. You're being humble, but alhamdulillah, thank you for. So the question we got before the break, and that was, I don't want to exhaust it too much, but it was really nice that someone actually texted in and said, anonymous person said, if music brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and gives you comfort, is that okay? So I don't think that's a question for that brother and sister who's actually posed that question. Thank you very much for that. I think up to an extent we have to use our initiative, and that is, some questions which you have for scholars, ask them. If you don't want to ask them, then don't make yourself guilty on it, because that's between, like I said, you and God. So if you find that music brings you closer and gives you comfort, then do what you feel is best, because you're trying to keep yourself sane, right? So that's not a question just for reassurance. Some people say to, Maulana, Maulvi Saab, is it okay? Because you know that they might say no. So if you don't want to hear it, because, with all due respect, you respect the scholars up to the highest level that they deserve. But also, Allah's given you akal. And if you know you're doing something wrong, your brain will tell you. You will tell yourself that. So if you find it's bringing you close to God, sometimes it's better for you not to share with your family or friends. And I'm not saying do haram. No, not at all. Of course, for those people thinking that, you have to be a bit open-minded as to what I'm trying to say. And that is that use your initiative as long as you're not harming anyone, especially yourself and others. If you feel that it's something that you find comfort in and it's bringing you closer to God, that's your journey.
I think also in summary, it's important to remember that there are differences of opinion. And I think when you say listening to music, I think that's a very vague kind of question. There is a lot of faith-inspired music as well out there that does bring people closer to Allah.
Exactly.
And again, as we said before, it's not really for any of us to judge what someone does and doesn't do. If someone is on their personal journey and they find that something they're doing is bringing them closer to Allah, then that can only be a good thing.
Exactly.
But ultimately, I guess, we're not scholars and we're not here to sort of answer Islamic questions. So that question is probably best directed as well to a scholar that you follow. And
exactly. True. Definitely. I definitely would agree as well. If you have any questions like that, you should ask a scholar. But at the same time, depending on what age and maturity you are, I think using initiative as well is important. But if you definitely need guidance, you should of course ask for it. Just touching on just a couple of things, and that's one of them you said about the Islamic artists. And you know, you've got Islamic artists such as Dean Squad, Khalid Siddiq, Harris J, Omar Isa. They've all played the part. Some people may not agree with it, some people may, but a lot of Islamic artists have copied the tunes of the songs and then bought their own version and used words as such. So we've actually got just about 30 seconds before we break up for Azan.
Okay.
So sorry for stealing the limelight,
No, it's
Safura.
fine.
But inshallah, after the break, I promise I'll give you a bit more chance to talk, so that I don't stop. I don't rant on. But inshallah, join us after the break. We are going to be stopping for Azan right now at 7:35, and inshallah, if you can join us, that'd be great. Please do call in or even text or WhatsApp, so we can get some of your feedback. Thank you, inshallah. Join us after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You're listening to Salam Radio, and it's now time for Maghrib Azan. This Azan is sponsored by UK Islamic Mission, serving humanity since 1962.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم بك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك المصير. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله
This
عليه
Azan is
وسلم.
sponsored by UK Islamic Mission, serving humanity since 1962.
This is Salam Radio, Peterborough's Muslim community radio, broadcasting on 106.2 FM and online.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back again to the show The Real Me. And that was just a 4 minute break for Adhan. And alhamdulillah, we're back now. So we're going to carry on with a bit more topics that we, inshallah, that we spoke about briefly. And I know in this small break you gave me a little bit of a poke, a bit of a reminder, just to touch on a couple of topics, so thank you for that. So the first one we're going to discuss is toxic masculinity, a bit tongue twister. Toxic masculinity. So that is in regards to, it's really interesting that you said that, and thanks for that, because me being a male, men's emotional feelings, and men obviously being the breadwinner, and them also going through something as well. So we always think that men being men, men, some men say, oh, I shouldn't cry, I can't cry, I'm a man, I'm not wuss. So what's your take on that?
Well, I think it's quite important to bring it back to Islam and Muslims, obviously with our way of life. And we know that obviously with men, because they're seen as the main breadwinner, as you said, they are the head of the household, they shoulder a lot of responsibilities. I guess it's not just the community, it's themselves. I think perhaps they feel that they can't break down because they can't afford to break down. They can't afford to cry or to show their emotions or to have a nervous breakdown or to start suffering from a mental health issue. And so what people tend to do is just to plough on and not talk to anybody, not admit that they're suffering and they're struggling. We know that a lot of the men actually will go to their imams in the mosques, and they may admit there that they have a problem. And 9 times out of 10, they'll just get told to pray more. Do more salah, read more Quran, improve your connection with Allah. And of course that's a given. That's something that we should all be striving towards all the time, regardless of whether you have a problem or not. But sometimes it's important for us as well to kind of acknowledge that when we genuinely have a mental health problem, people need a bit more than that. It's not just obviously the Prophet ﷺ taught us to tie your camel before you do anything else. So of course you have your trust in Allah, but then what are you doing to help yourself? First of all, are you acknowledging that you have a problem? And once you do, what are you doing about it? And it's not just, we can't just blame the people that are suffering with problems themselves. It's also down to others around them. How many of us kind of look out for our families and our loved ones and make sure that they're doing okay. If you know that somebody's been through difficult circumstances or they've had financial difficulties of some sort, I think the volume's gone on this mic. Then what are we doing to kind of ensure that they're holding up okay and receiving the support and the help that they might need? It's about that as well. But so toxic masculinity, I think it's something that applies across the board. It's not just non-Muslims, but also Muslims as well. I think there is a culture and a mindset, and I think that it kind of holds people back. It holds a lot of men back from seeking help.
What would you signpost for men who are suffering? What help is there in Peterborough?
So, generally, we tend to signpost more to the Muslim helplines and the Muslim organisations, which are actually not based in Peterborough. So there is Inspirited Minds, which are one of the biggest Muslim mental health charities in the United Kingdom. They're based in London, but they have a helpline. We've also got the Muslim Youth Helpline. Again, although it's called Youth Helpline, they will actually help anybody who calls them up. And you can call them up about all sorts of problems. I know they get young people ringing them up who are feeling suicidal. We've got a lot of men call them as well. And we work quite closely with the Muslim Youth Helpline. They are actually a very good source of support. So I would urge people to contact them as well. So for men as well, there are other organisations. I think they escape me now, but there are obviously organisations like Mind.
Yeah.
There are the Samaritans, and of course, as always, we say that if you are feeling suicidal, then the best thing to do is probably to make your way to A&E, because they will be able to guide you and support you to the best kind of source of support in your area.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are helplines that you can call, and people will be there to talk to you and listen to you.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Something that I think would interest yourself and interest a lot of women as well. And I know that you brought up this issue, which is quite a large issue within the communities in Peterborough or even in UK or even worldwide as well. And that's postnatal issues after a woman has had a baby. So a lot of men obviously won't be able to understand because they don't go through that. But it's important for the support as also. What's your take on that?
I think a lot of men will be able to understand and support, because if they've seen their wives go through it and females in their family go through it, then they'll know what it's like and how debilitating it can be. It's funny that you bring that up, because that's one of the first reasons for why we founded the Lantern Initiative. We initially started off with support groups for mums who'd just had babies. And who felt quite isolated and alone and felt like they had no support network, or felt like they weren't understood by their families. And some of them had postnatal depression, some of them were just feeling low, and we started doing coffee mornings for them, and it sort of very quickly turned into a group where it was just a bunch of women listening to one another, being kind of a shoulder to cry on for each other. And it sort of grew from that, really. But yes, I think it's not just unique to the Muslim community, but in general, I think there's a lot of pressure on new mums to just, you've had a baby, just enjoy your baby. What are you complaining about? You're so lucky. So many people can't have babies. It's a blessing from Allah. It's, mashallah, and you've got all these well-wishers, and you've got all these presents and flowers and cards, and, people kind of converging onto your house because you've had a baby, and it's overwhelming. And it's not always as easy as people make it out to be, and I'm not just saying for a woman who's got no children to suddenly have a baby, but I mean even for somebody who's got one or two children to suddenly have a third or a fourth. It's immense, the pressure the woman feels, and also her hormones as well are all over the place. And what she's feeling right now, the burden of having a new life to look after is massive. And when you look at the more sort of ancient traditions, such as looking after a woman who's had a baby for 40 days, and she's not allowed to lift a finger because she's just receiving all of this care and being fed well and massaged and having all of this pampering, and people take the baby off her so she can rest and sleep and all of that. We just don't practice that anymore. It's almost like, well, you just get on with it. Modern day life just demands that you've had your baby, now just go out for your baby checkup and your immunizations and your this, that and the other, and so I think women do feel a lot of pressure, and I think that postnatal depression is something that's not well understood in the community. Again, it's not unique to Peterborough, I think across the board. But I'd say a lot of the women that come to our events tend to be women who've suffered from or are suffering from postnatal depression of some sort. And sometimes what happens is if postnatal depression is not dealt with, it can then lead to sort of bigger problems later on. Further down the line, it can become fully blown depression. So it's important for us, I think, as a community to be mindful of that. And if you know a woman who's just had a baby, just ask her if she's okay. Be there for her. And it's not just about sending food and just really make sure that she's okay. Be there as that sort of
emotional support.
Lend your ear
mental
and
support,
your. I heard something recently from one of the women that we work with, and she was saying, when we say to somebody, how are you, we just expect them to say, I'm okay, and then you're kind of ready to move on to the next question. You kind of expect this kind of answer that's, you're not prepared for them to say, well, actually I'm not okay, I'm struggling, or and you don't know what to do if someone says, well, I'm not all right today, I'm I've got this and I'm feeling this way and that way. What do you do with that? We sort of don't ask somebody how they are because we really want to know how they are. We're
Yeah.
just asking them how they are because we think that's what we ought to be doing. And then if we don't get the answer that we're kind of waiting for, then we struggle. We don't know what to do with that. So it's about kind of learning how to be there for your friends, for your loved ones.
Yeah.
Just being a shoulder and a sort of a support network is there's a lot more to it, and I think you have to kind of gear yourself up to it and train yourself to doing that.
Yeah.
But we can all do it. We all have the capacity to be listeners, to be good listeners. And everybody needs support at some point. As you said, everybody's going through something that you don't know about. So just be mindful of that and be aware of that as well.
Thank you so much. Before we carry on, or even before I actually speak further about the Lantern Initiative, we have had a text come in from someone, and they said, "Salams, keep up the good work, Safura." Thank you so much for that, who texted in. And I personally say myself, I don't think you're prepared for this, but I think that, mashallah, you're doing a really great job. Me wanting to be part of the initiative, and thank you for taking me on as well as a volunteer, because I think that the work you're doing is so genuine. And I'm not praising you just for the sake of being on the show, but alhamdulillah, I've seen yourself, especially with your akhlaq and working with yourself as well. May Allah always keep you like this as well, and I can see your sincere intentions, especially because I've just quite recently joined. When you first when I came to one of the events that you actually organized, I was just raring to quickly speak to you afterwards. I thought, I want to get involved in this. That's so good work you're doing, and mashallah, you really showed that characteristics of being a good leader. So mashallah, keep up the good work. It's really good, and it's very inspiring as well. So it's something that I actually caught you by surprise. I haven't told you this myself,
Thank
but
you,
I think
Abbas.
it's something that
maybe you should have not mentioned that on air.
I think it's good, that recognition. I think to be honest, maybe if for those listening live right now, or maybe catch up with the show afterwards, I am disappointed in Peterborough itself from not making use of the Lantern Initiative and the work you're doing. Truthfully speaking, sorry, I won't just say, because this is a live show, but I am extremely disappointed, especially with the last workshop that you actually organized, which we're going to talk about more in a moment, and that was in regards to the mental health workshop. And can you believe, mashallah, it was a really good attendance from outside of Peterborough. It was a whole day event, a 3-day intensive course into one, right? It was about 9:30 till about 6. And so many people came from out of town, waking up early and leaving their homes on a Sunday to come for this workshop. And there was such a positive vibe in that. I'm not trying to criticize anyone in Peterborough, but like I said again, I was really upset that we have something under our noses and we're not making use of it. We will be questioned for this, because this is not for our betterment, for the betterment of our family, friends and community members in Peterborough. And I'm not saying this because the Lantern Initiative is not mine. You're a co-founder. I'm just merely a volunteer. But just seeing the hard work that you put in, there's no appreciation from the community. If one person spreads it to another, it'll go to another and to another. And I think we need to give that support. You're in Peterborough. You need help from your own people. And I'm not talking about financial help. No, please. I don't want anyone to say, there's need of money. No. Show that moral support, man.
I think that's something that will change. I mean, I know what you're saying, and that disappointment that you're kind of talking about, I have felt that as well. But I think I've reached a point where I think to myself, you know what? Mental health is still not very well understood in Peterborough. I think we do have a lot of work to do, I think. And I think that things are gradually changing. You might have noticed yourself that we have regular attendees at most of our events. It's the same faces that come to most of the events. But that's also good, because it means that we have, a bunch of, 30, 40 families in Peterborough who take mental health quite seriously, and who will come to the events and will make use of the kind of speakers that we've got.
At the same time, these are quality workshops I've experienced myself hands-on. And I'm not saying that because I'm part of the initiative as a volunteer, but I truly felt these are quality workshops and quality things that you're bringing on, which which a lot of the people are missing out. And please don't think it's boring. It's not at all. I'm not. Some people say I'm not interested in these kind of things. Well, it's going to be benefit for yourself and for your children and your family members. At least come to it and give it a try.
Well, just to talk a little bit more about the event that you're talking about.
Sure.
You're referring to the Imam training event that took place. It was a couple of months ago, right? It was. It was for imams to come and it was a whole sort of mental health training day on community leadership.
Yeah.
And the reason we decided to put that on was because we wanted to take a top-down approach. So we feel that if we target people or train up people who are in community-facing roles in the community, imams, chaplains, people working in kind of leadership roles, they're really best placed to support their communities. And so what we wanted to do was give them a really good solid grounding of mental health, but not just mental health, but also Islam and mental health. So going back to the sort of pioneers of mental health institutions and hospitals who are Muslims, going back to the Islamic history, going back to prophetic examples. We kind of did a little module on how to bring mental health into your khutbahs, into your talks and things. So it's quite a a comprehensive kind of well-rounded program. And as you said, we had imams coming from all over. I mean, you might remember some of the places, but yeah, Bristol, Stoke-on-Trent, London, Leicester, all over the place. But we didn't really have a great attendance from Peterborough, which was disappointing. I agree. And I think people had travelled, sort of 2 hours, 3 hours to come on a Sunday morning to come to the event, which was really heartening to see. But I think it will change in Peterborough. I think we've got a way to go, but I think we have to keep going. Inshallah. And not to become disheartened.
Just for those who want to keep on track as to the future events, where can they find that information?
So we've got a Facebook page and an Instagram page. So we are the Lantern Initiative on Facebook and Instagram. Also, we've got our brand new website, which is just launching this week, inshallah. So you'll be able to find us on thelanterninitiative.co.uk. We've got some very exciting things happening, actually, where we're just launching some articles and interviews with Amalia magazine online. And we're doing a couple of sort of radio interviews and things like that as well. So there's quite a lot going on. We've got events as well in the pipeline, so do stay sort of updated on our social media pages.
Safura, thank you very much for joining to me today, and inshallah I pray for your success in the future. And for those listening, thank you very much for joining us today. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
The masjid is a center of spirituality, education, and a social hub for the community. In the times of the Blessed Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, the masjid lay at the heart of society and was not just a place of sanctuary and prayer, but also